Buying fake cats with fake bitcoins. What do I mean by fake cats, and what the hell do I mean by fake bitcoins? To start, my name is JP. I'm the founder of Coinbolt. Coinbolt is a mobile application for the Android right now, soon to be iPhone, that makes securing and sending Bitcoin very easy. The long-term goal is to enable people in developing countries that have tight currency controls and inflation to kind of give them an opportunity, but I'm really far away from that, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, apparently we're going to get some drinks afterwards, so hold all questions until the bar, please, since it's a lightning talk. I'll be moving quickly. Bitcoin. So unless you've been living in a rock, you've probably heard of Bitcoin. And so what is the easiest way to think of Bitcoin? Essentially, you can think of it as like a programmable peer-to-peer financial system. Much like how email was the first major application for the internet, currency is probably the first application for the Bitcoin platform. And smart contracts, those sorts of things will be coming, or they already exist, but people will be using those sorts of things. So fake Bitcoin. What do I mean by fake Bitcoin? Well, fortunately, the developers of Bitcoin included functionality so that you can test your applications. They call it the test network. And so the difference between the test network and the real Bitcoin network is just a few numbers in the code, but the protocol is essentially the same. So I have a little demo for you. So let's role play a little bit. A friend tells you that you have to check out the Coinbolt cat shop. And essentially what that is a way to buy yourself some fake cats that will give you nuggets of economic wisdom. So you're curious, okay, so maybe you want to buy Skittle. Skittle's ugly. So we'll buy Flair and we'll buy Petey. That's my cat's name. So we go to checkout, and you see this bits. What are bits? And bits are essentially, there's 1 million bits per Bitcoin. And the reason that people started picking up this currency unit essentially is because buying a latte for 0.015 Bitcoins would be kind of awkward, whereas 1,500 or 15,000 bits feels a little better, I guess. So bits are becoming like the predominant currency unit. You'll also see BTC quite a bit. So we click buy now. Okay, so we got to send 490 bits to this Bitcoin address. How do we do that? Can everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
Make that a little bigger for you. Okay, so fortunately, I have developed some, I'll make this bigger too, just a second. Close these. I've developed a set of scripts to essentially create a real simple wallet. Let's see. Okay, is that okay? Yeah. Okay, so here's simple node requires, and right now here's a random number that you create. And the Bitcoin, to create a Bitcoin address, essentially an address is a hash of a public key. So Bitcoin uses public key cryptography, namely elliptic key cryptography. And so first you would generate a random number. This module right here takes care of the logic of generating the public key. Then we store it into an object and we save it to a file. Very straightforward. We'll run that. We can do as many times as we want, just start, it creates a new file each time. Okay, so we have an address, that's cool. But let's check the balance of that address. Okay, so we have 0 bits in it, which would make sense because it's brand new. So let's look and see. how do we get the balance? What's the source code for that say? So we're using a service called helloblock.io. And basically it allows you to integrate with the Bitcoin network, both the test network and the main network. So essentially we get the balance, we format it, and we spit it out to screen. That's it. So okay, but we want to put some funds in there. So what do we need to do for that? So first, let's copy the address. Fortunately, there's these services called test or Bitcoin faucets, and all you need to do then is you paste in your address, and then we can put in like 0.1 Bitcoin, which would be 100,000 bits. So cool, it says it was successful. Okay, so we have 100,000 bits in our Bitcoin account. So now how do we send it so that we can buy our cats? So first, Bitcoin transactions are composed of inputs and outputs. I won't get too much more detail than that. But essentially, so I sent 100,000 bits to this address, so it has one spent, unspent output, that address does. So there's some garbage right here. Well, it's not garbage, but it's pretty meaningless to you at this point in time. That's okay. But we needed to create the transaction. I didn't show you the actual unspent source code. As you can see, very straightforward. Just query helloblock.io, and then you get the information out to console. Then to actually create your transaction, we take as input the address, the amount, take input from standard input. Then the unspent output, we add to the output and for the receiver address and the amount. And then so it's kind of interesting with Bitcoin. So if let's say if your address has 10 Bitcoins and you're going to send 7, what you would do is you would send 3. Basically, you have to send all of them. So you send 7 to the person that you're sending to, and 3 goes back to another address that you control. In this case, to make it super easy, we're just sending it back to the address that we created previously. So, okay, so buy the cat. So let's see. I think I already copied and pasted, but if not, just in case. So 490 bits. Okay, so there's a raw hex output for the transaction. Again, not very useful, but we have a file or a script that allows you to send it, and which essentially is just a post to this endpoint. And so, pull this up here so you can see. Success. So it says your cats are on the way, so the website got the notification the transaction was successful, and then it gives you your nuggets of economic wisdom. So if you're really excited about this, you can go back and buy a bunch of cats and read their quotes for each one. But all of this source code is available. The cat shop, it's a React app, and then the wallet that we just went over is right here. And so I know I glossed over a lot of the details of Bitcoin extremely quickly, but with being a lightning talk, you kind of have to do that. So that's it. Thank you. Actually, there's probably time for questions. I thought it'd be longer than that, but does anybody have questions?
I mean, in Lincoln there's a file place called File Factory. Fancy Bitcoins, I found out last night. So how, this issue of making, giving fake Bitcoins, how common is it?
So it's a separate network, and the addresses are different because they're encoded differently, and it's basically just a version number.
Right.
So if a test network or a fake address had Bitcoins and you tried to send it to a regular Bitcoin address, it wouldn't let you. So, other questions?
I'm interested in knowing more about Bitcoin. So this might be a question that everybody knows the answer to, but how does Bitcoin actually tie itself to actual money?
That's an excellent question. Basically, it's people put their Bitcoins for sale on an open market, and then others come in the open market and bid. And so people have, a bunch of people have sell prices, a bunch of people have buy prices, and wherever they meet is the actual Bitcoin price. And so that changes over time based upon a number of things. So it's entirely subjective.
How do you get Bitcoins to put on the market?
So that's an excellent question as well. So you can acquire Bitcoins in a number of ways. The easiest way is to sign up for an account on Coinbase.com or Circle.com, and then you can just buy your Bitcoins. Or there's another website called LocalBitcoins.com, and you can go meet somebody like a cafe and give them cash, and they send Bitcoins from their Bitcoin wallet to your Bitcoin wallet.
So
and then
cash, I'm saying. Okay.
what? Yeah, you pay cash. And then the final way would be through a process that's called mining, but an individual shouldn't do that anymore. It's not even practical. You'd have to have this whole entire room full of supercomputers. Or specialized hardware, essentially. So.
But who controls the circulation numbers of Bitcoins, and is there like a group or?
That's an excellent question. It's the algorithm of the system. One of the unique things about the Bitcoin system is that it solved a computer science problem, or a practical solution to the computer science problem called the Byzantine generals problem, which basically says how can you organize a bunch of generals to attack at a specific time without being undermined. And so the way that they do that is a bunch of supercomputers all follow this same algorithm, and they can all verify through a system called proof of work, essentially by solving complex math puzzles, that the work was actually done. And so basically every time a piece of work is done, a 25 Bitcoin reward goes out to that individual, or it's a company now, or a mining pool, and then that's how it works. So it's set up so that it happens every 10 minutes, 25 Bitcoins, and that number will have to, it'll cut in half to 12.5 in, I think, about 2.5 years or so. So, and it just progressively gets lower and lower and lower. And then it eventually runs out, I think, the year 2120. And then the idea is that transaction fees will ultimately sustain the network.
What's the upper, there's an upper limit for Bitcoins?
Yes, yeah, excellent question. The upper limit is 21 million. So there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins produced. All right, thank you.